welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're going to go back to the 80s for a haunted prison movie. But before we get into this one, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe. I greatly would appreciate that. Also, as always, a shameless plug for my TeePublic store. I have a link for that in the description box below. And today we are going back to the 80s for a haunted prison movie. And funny enough, the name of this movie is called Prison. Prison came out in 87 and 88. The release kind of got mucked up because of the bankruptcy of the company that made this film. We'll get into that. This was the first American film directed by Renny Harlin. This is Renny Harlin's directorial debut in America. He would go on to do Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, right after this one. This is rated R. It's an hour and 42 minutes long. Had a budget of $1 to $4 million. That's the range. I couldn't narrow it down. And upon release, sadly, like I said, the release was kind of messed up due to a bankruptcy of the company that helped make this movie. It only made $345,000 at the box office. In this film, we got Viggo Mortensen playing an inmate called Burke. This was very early in his career. Viggo Mortensen looks really young here. Chelsea Fields plays Catherine. She's a government official, works for this board of the prison system. Lane Smith plays Warden Sharp, and we got Tom Everett playing Rabbit, and him and Viggo Mortensen being Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 in 1990, just a few years later. Now this movie it's a haunted prison movie. They reopened this prison, this defunct prison. It's been closed for a little while. And this other prison that was supposed to be finished is behind schedule, so they have to have somewhere to put the inmates. So they decided to reopen this one prison. Warden Sharp used to be a prison guard at this prison, and one of the inmates, Forsyth, this inmate Forsyth, got the electric chair. That we come to find out later is why he's back haunting this prison. Well, anyway, the inmates show up, they repopulate the prison, but things start going a little bit crazy right from Jump Street. Inmates start getting killed, weird occurrences start happening in the prison, and pretty much it all culminates with this prisoner Forsyth, who got the electric chair, coming back and killing Warden Sharp and some of the other people that wronged him. And at the end of the film, Viggo Mortensen's character, Chelsea Fields' character, and a few others make it out of the prison alive, and that is Prison. So what to like about this film? Well, the setting, they shot this at a real defunct prison in Wyoming. And you can't buy that kind of production value. I mean, it was already there, and they shot in this prison. Most of the movie was shot there. And they did say it was super creepy because it was a rundown prison. It had been closed for quite a few years at that point. I think the cast is good here. It's a really great cast. These are all veteran actors, up and coming actors, and Viggo Mortensen's great here as the lead. Although he doesn't show up for probably the first 20 minutes of the film, but he is our lead here and our hero of the movie. I'll say this between the setting, I think Renny Harlin does a nice job with the directing. You could see shades here of what's to come with his directing of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. You can see shots out of this movie that he used right in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you can see where he was going with his career at this point, doing this small little movie. So I think he does a good job with behind the camera, as I've always said about Renny Harlin, especially with those early movies in the 80s and 90s. His camera works pretty damn good here. The atmosphere he creates, there's some beautiful lighting here. Obviously, this was all shot on film. And then the makeup effects were done by John Carl Buechler and his crew, and the makeup effects look great. And it does get gory in moments. There's definitely some carnage candy in this movie. There's some other effects that look a little dated, but for most part, considering the low-budget nature of this movie, they come off pretty well. They were definitely being ambitious with the budget they were given. Overall, I think this is a damn solid, and for a haunted prison movie, which up until this movie was made, we weren't really making haunted prison movies, but this is a pretty damn solid one if you've never seen it. I think it's streaming on Tubi, I do believe. This Blu-ray, I think, is still available from Scream Factory on Amazon, but I do believe it is streaming on Tubi for free if you want to check it out. Any negatives? I think the plot itself, the revenge thing, they do reveal it as the movie goes along. I think there could have been a little bit more to it, honestly, and there's some other parts that could have been cut out. I think it goes on a little too long. It meanders a little bit, especially in the middle. But there's enough here that it makes it highly entertaining, and it's a pretty damn cool haunted prison movie. This is a haunted house movie in a prison, and it's a cool setting to do that, and pretty novel at the time, apparently. Now, this was produced by Charles Band, his Empire Pictures is who produces. That's why the release kind of got messed up. And Jeroen Blans also produced this movie. Actually, this movie was kind of his brainchild. He had written a script for this like years before. Jeroen Blans produced Halloween and several other horror movies. So he came in on this one. He wrote the original script, but his original script was more like a slasher movie. They brought in another writer, and they said a slasher movie in a prison doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So they turned it into a haunted house, a haunted prison movie, which I think works really, really well. Kane Hodder was on this film as a stunt coordinator, and he played Charles Forsyth, the ghost that comes back for revenge. This was shot on location in Wyoming State Penitentiary. It was closed by then. I think it was closed for a few years by the time they got there, and they were able to use it for free, so it definitely saved them money. Viggo Mortensen did most of his own stunts in this movie. He was young and he was game to do it. As a matter of fact, he did so many stunts that Kane Hodder gave him a stunt man t-shirt at the end of the film. The electric chair that's in this movie that we see right in the beginning of the film, Wyoming is a death penalty state, but they never used there was never an electric chair at that prison. So, but they did have a gas chamber. So what the production did was they installed a fake electric chair in that gas chamber. So they actually shot those scenes on the electric chair in a real gas chamber where people were gassed to death. They said it was extremely creepy in there. Some of the extras, the inmate extras in there were actual real inmates from a prison right down the road from where they were filming this one. So there was actually real inmates on the set. Now this was filmed in '86. From what I could see, it got a small release in December of '87, and it got released in '88. Again, it didn't do very well, but Empire Pictures was having a lot of financial problems at that time. Matter of fact, they filed for bankruptcy around this time. So unfortunately, the release kind of got mucked up. So I don't even know how many screens this got to, but obviously it only made $345,700 some dollars at the box office. So it was a disappointment, unfortunately. It's what happened with a lot of those production studios in the 80s. They just kind of ran out of money. The same thing happened to Canon in the late 80s. They ran out of money and they ended up, things just kind of got snuck out into the world. But I remember the box for this. It's not the same artwork that's here at my local video store when I was a kid. And I remember renting this movie and I always liked it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite horror movies, but I think it's a solid haunted prison movie or a haunted house movie set in a prison with a pretty damn good cast with some cool makeup effects. It gets pretty damn gory at times. So you could do a lot worse than this movie. Now, also one more piece of trivia. Jeroen Blans, you could actually see him at the beginning of the movie. They cut to this conference going on, this conference room. You see Chelsea Fields there. They're discussing what prison, how they're going to handle this prison taking longer to construct than they were planning on. And they have to put these prisoners somewhere. He is one of the men sitting at the table. He's sitting right next to Chelsea Fields. So Jeroen Blans actually makes an appearance in this movie. This is a solid prison movie, a solid prison haunted house movie. It's a little bit, it's Renny Harlin's first film, but you can definitely see his talents and some of the shot selection you will see carried over in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 and even some of his later action movies. Very talented guy, and some of the lighting is really beautiful, even though it's in this creepy, rundown prison. But at the end of the day, again, not a perfect movie, but I enjoy this one. If you've never seen it, I recommend checking this out. I would give Prison a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10 for Prison. Have you ever seen this movie? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I would appreciate that. That is it for this one. But until next time, bye.